Algebra Unit 4, Lesson 1, N1, Translating and Graphing Inequalities. An inequality is an open sentence that contains the symbol less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Verbal problems containing phrases like greater than or less than can be solved by using inequalities. The chart shows some, but not all, phrases that indicate inequalities. So the symbol is less than, which can be less than or fewer than. Our next symbol is greater than or more than. Less than or equal to could also be at most or no more than. Greater than or equal to can also be at least or no less than. Again, these are just some of the common ones, but not all of them. So translate the following verbal phrases into inequalities. Letter A. 2/3 B increased by 10 is less than 33. So I have 2/3 B, which is just 2/3 times B, increased by 10 plus 10 is less than 33. There's the less than symbol and 33. Let's look at C. 5 fewer than 3 times C is greater than 40. So this one's a little bit confusing because it does have the words fewer than and greater than. Well, the greater than would be my symbol, and I know it's greater than 40. 5 fewer than 3 times C means 3 times C minus 5. So 5 fewer than 3 times C is greater than 40. Now, how did I know fewer than wasn't my symbol? It doesn't say 5 is fewer than 3. If it said 5 is fewer than 3, then I would use one of my inequality symbols. Here, on the right, it says C is greater than. So 5 fewer than 3 times C is greater than 40. So you're still kind of looking for that word is, just like we did in when we wrote equations. Letter E. The sum of twice P and 11 is at least 3. So twice P plus 11, it said the sum of, is at least 3. So I know it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So I know that the left side has to be 3 or more, which means the left side, 2P plus 11, is greater than or equal to 3. Letter F. 2 fewer than K is at most the sum of 17 and twice K. Again, it doesn't say 2 is fewer than. It's 2 fewer than K. So I know that means K minus 2 is at most the sum of 17 and twice K. So let's skip the symbol for now. Let's worry about this part. The sum of 17 and twice K. So 17 and twice K, and we want the sum. Okay. Now 2 fewer than K, the left side, K minus 2, is at most the right side. So that tells me it could be equal to, but it also would be less than because that's the most. 17 plus 2K is the most, which means that side must be the largest. So K minus 2 is less than or equal to 17 plus 2K. Let's jump down to letter K. Wanda is at least 35 years old. Write an inequality that represents how many years old, Y, Wanda could be. So we have Y and we have 35. She's at least 35. So that means she could be 35 or she could be older than 35. Letter M. The maximum seating capacity of New Era Field is 71,870. Write an inequality that could represent how many seats, S, can be filled in any particular game. So the number of seats is 71,870. We could have that many people or less than that many people. We can't exceed that amount because that's its capacity. Graphing inequalities. When graphing a one-variable inequality, you must use a number line. Now remember, a little bit of review here. If you have an open circle, you're talking about either less than or greater than. If you have a closed-in circle, it's either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Okay, let's jump to letter B. B is greater than -4. So I always like to put at least 3 numbers on the number line. With -4, the number I'm focusing on, I like to put that in the middle. So 1 less than -4 is -5, and 1 greater than -4 is -3. I know it's an open circle because it does not have that equal to bar. So I'm going to plot an open circle on -4. Now to determine which way I shade. I know my B values are greater than -4, and the numbers that are greater than -4 are to the right. Letter D. W is greater than or equal to 0. So again, I'm going to have 3 lines, 0 being in the middle. 1 smaller, 1 larger. Now, greater than or equal to, that means I have a closed circle on 0. And I want W values greater than 0. So my variable is bigger than 0, so again, I'm going to shade to the right. And make sure you're drawing your line and plotting your dots, your points, on the actual number line. Letter E, -8 less than Q. Draw your 3 lines. We have -8 in the middle, so -9 on the left, and -7 here. It would be an open circle on -8. My variable is now on the right side, and if you notice, the sign opens up to the Q, which means Q is the biggest number. So Q has to be bigger than -8. Because Q is larger, I'm going to shade to the right where larger numbers are. If ever you are in doubt, you can plug in any value into your inequality and see where to shade. For example, let's say I were to plug in -9. I would have -8 is less than, let's plug in -9. -8 is not less than -9, which tells me I do not shade over the -9, which tells me I would shade the other way. If you were to plug in -7, -8 is less than -7, that is a true statement, which again tells me I need to shade over the -7 and not the other side. Letter F. -17.5 is greater than or equal to P. So I have -17.5. This time I'm going to count by halves. This would be -18, and this would be -17. You could count by ones or twos or whatever you want, really, as long as you're consistent. It is a closed circle because it does have that equal to symbol on -17.5. And I want P values that are less than that -17.5. It's opening up towards -17.5, which tells me P is less than that. The values less than that are to the left. Complete the rest on your own.